started. So what we're going to do first is we're going to head over to GitHub, and we're going to open up and create a new repository. So I'm going to create a new repository here, and I'm going to give this repository name as Serendipity _backpack _tutorial. You can call it anything you want. You can give this an optional description. I'll call this tutorial to create Serendipity Backpack. I'll leave it public, and I'll go ahead and create the repository. So I'm going to go ahead and create repository right there. And now you can see that there's a lot of things over here. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be copying this link right here. So this link will be different for yours depending on what your repository name is. You can see my name is Radagras the Infinite. Your name will probably be something different. Awesome. So then let's go ahead and let's head over to your editor. In this case, I'm going to use Intellij. And we're going to say File, New, Project from Version Control. Now, what is version control? Version control is any type of software. For example, we're going to be using Git to control or manipulate different versions or different snapshots of your code. In this case, we'll be creating different features, and we'll be creating them using version control so that we can always revert back to some version in case we mess up on something. So go ahead and paste that link over here like I just did over there. And you'll see that it automatically creates a directory. I'm going to leave it here. That's good for me. You can go ahead and put it anywhere, your desktop, documents, and I'm going to click clone. Note that you might need to install Git at this point, and for that, we'll have another tutorial for that in the future. If not, you can easily just install Git going to the Git website. So what we're going to do here is we're going to open up our folder. So you can see here, we have a bunch of random things because of idea. It means Intellij, so we're going to ignore those. Those will take care of itself. But other than that, we have nothing here. So let's go ahead and let's initialize our project. So what we're going to be using is we're going to be using Node.js. Node.js is JavaScript package manager or runtime environment. Well, what does that mean? A package manager is anything that can install JavaScript packages for you. So, for example, someone writes some code and you want to download it, Node.js will do the job for you. If you're familiar with Python, you'll be familiar with pip install. Similar, JavaScript has Node. In addition, you can also run JavaScript using Node because it's a runtime environment, meaning you can just execute JavaScript code inside Node. So what we're going to do is you're going to go ahead and download the most recent version or the latest feature. I prefer the one that's recommended for most users because it's stable, meaning it has less bugs. I've already downloaded it, so I'm going to head over to our next step, which is using Node to download VueJS. So I'm going to go ahead and open a terminal here, and real quickly, I'm just going to write ls. We'll be getting a lot of terminal commands and learning a lot of these throughout this guide. So ls, you can see that there's nothing here. What we're going to do, as you see right here, we're going to build our NPM install Vue, which means we're going to use Node Package Manager, which is what we just talked about, to install VueJS. So I'm going to go ahead and run this here, and you'll see that I already have it. So it's going to just give me this information here. You don't have this. All good. Now that we've done that, we're going to have Node. We're going to have Node Vue create a new Vue project. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to say Vue create, and then I'm going to say my app name, which is what we're going to call it. I'm just going to call it Backpack Tutorial. And so you can see here that we're using Vue to create this new Vue project called Backpack Tutorial. You can call it anything you want. I'm going to click enter, and there we go. It's going to start creating, and look, I'm getting some commands to figure out which one I want. We're not going to be using Vue 3, we're going to be using Vue 2, but we're going to manually select our features so we can better understand what's happening. All of these are good. We do want to use Vue Router, so make sure to click the spacebar on that. And we're going to click enter because that's pretty much all we want. We're going to be using Vue 2 version because it's more stable. We are going to be using history mode with the router, and you'll see why later. We're going to do ESLint with error prevention only, and we're going to lint on save, which just means that it's going to, linter is just something that makes your code look prettier, or it'll tell you that you have errors, for example. we're going to write this all of our configurations in package.json, and we don't want this as a future configuration. So you'll see that it'll be creating our project. And so as we're creating our project, let's go ahead and view some of our other packages that we'll be using as well. Here you can see that we're going to be using Vuetify. We've already used GitHub and Git over here. Vuetify is a CSS library specifically dedicated to Vue, and it allows us to create very beautiful, simplistic, materialized themed components on our HTML front-end side with very little effort. So as we're going to be looking here, VueJS and Vuetify are going to work very nicely together. So as this is downloading, what we're going to do now is I'm going to have our browser open, and we're going to be opening a new local a new local server. So first, if I click ls here will show us what's in here. We don't want to open any of these. We want to go into Backpack tutorial. And you can see here it already says CD Backpack tutorial. So I'm going to type CD, which means change directories or go into, and then I'm going to choose Backpack tutorial. And so I click tab there to just autocomplete. I'm going to click enter, and now let's do ls again to see what's in here. Awesome, and look, looks like we have exactly what we created earlier, our source file. And I'm going to show you right here. Check it out, it's our source file. Now you can see that we have a bunch of boilerplate or just code that was already created. Let's go ahead and let's run our server so we can see what we're working with. NPM run serve. And what NPM run serve is going to be doing is it's going to be opening up a local host. A local host is just a way for developers to easily access their web app without having to deploy it to the internet. So I'm just going to go ahead and use Google in this case, which I use for all my local host stuff. And you can see here, we have our new Vue app. So this is what was already downloaded for us. So in the next videos, we're going to be customizing this to add in our own custom components. In the meanwhile, go ahead and sit tight, and we'll see you next time.